You ever read a book and you just had no idea what you were in for? Yeah, you read the synopsis and it sounded interesting, kind of in the vein of stuff you like to read. And then you get into it, and the deeper you get into it, you're like, what the F is happening? Today, we're going to talk about a book that has struck me in that chord, and that book is Fever House by Keith Rosson. I think I read the synopsis, and it's about these guys who they're like tough guys, strong men for this guy, Peach Serrano, who's kind of like a mafia boss. They never really say he's mafia, but if you owe him money, he sends his thugs after you to like break your legs or instill the fear in you. These guys go and they're doing a job, and on this job, they find a hand in a freezer. And this sets off a series of insane and weird events. And that's basically like the gist of the synopsis. But it goes so south and so weird and so apocalyptic and effed up. And I was not expecting it at all. I also was not expecting the fact that there's going to be a second book, because where it ended, I was like, oh, I guess this ending's okay. But like, man, there's so much that's not explained, and there's so much that's not explained because there's going to be a second book, and I can't wait for that because it's freaking off the rails crazy. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. There's these two guys, Tim and Hutch. As I said, they're the strong men for this guy, Peach Serrano. Peach Serrano, he's a collector of things. He's got a lot of money. He will lend you some money if you need it, but if you don't pay him back, gonna send his dudes after you. So Tim and Hutch are going to do this job, the one where they find this weird withered hand in a freezer, and they go to the house. This guy's like a meth head, and he seems all like strung out, and there's this girl there that is his lady, and she's all like skeletal, and he's probably, hit her around a bit. He just like, F you guys, I'm not giving anyone any money, this, that, and the other. And when they go into the house too, both Tim and Hutch get this like weird vibe they're feeling. Like stuff feels weird. They hear like whispering, this almost feel of like rage ready to bubble to the surface. And something's influencing them and they feel it. This guy refuses to pay the money. He's giving them crap and all of that. So, they're going to take him to the big boss and down to the warehouse to have him work him over. And the guy's like, I can't leave without taking what's in the freezer. So, like, they find this freaking human arm, or maybe it's not a human arm. It's a freaking gray ass arm, and it's in the freezer. And the closer they get to it, the more the whispering and the feeling of like violence and rage is like in them. And the two guys are like, what is going on? So they have the guy tied up and they take him to the warehouse. And when they get there, the other guy who's going to work him over because won't give him the money for Peach Serrano, the meth head like gets up and attacks him. They end up killing him and getting rid of him. So then they have this freaking arm they got to deal with. Tim and Hutch, they end up leaving because they got to go do something else. And they leave the arm behind in Tim's car because they got to go take the body of this guy because they end up killing him because he attacked the other guy and get rid of it. But when they come back, the other dude that was attacked by the meth head, he's gone. He's taken Tim's car and he's nowhere to be found. So they call their boss and they're like, hey, something is not right. Don is gone. That was the name of the guy, which is Peach Serrano's father-in-law who's involved in a family business. Go figure. He's like, yeah, he took my car and is gone. And so Peach is like, what the hell? Because they're not supposed to call and contact them because, they're doing shady business. Talking over the phone is not good. So they end up going and they're like, all right, well, they end up cruising by Don's house because they're like, where else would he have taken the car? And when they get there, they go in and they find Don, but Don is dead. And so they end up telling Peach about the hand, and they're like, we think it's causing this, that, and the other. And so now Peach wants this weird arm. They take that and they leave and they tell him what happened with Don, and it's real messed up. So you have that, and that the horror book, that's not too crazy, but it gets so much more insane. At some point, I think Hutch ends up going back to the house where Don was for some reason or other, and when he goes back in, apparently Don's eyes move and look at him, but he's dead. Like, he's super dead. He should not be looking at him. And as you get deeper into the story, like, the more people that are exposed to this arm, which it comes out that maybe it's like a devil's arm, and it's a remnant. And then you get into, there's this other character called Saint Michael, and there's this government agency, although it's off the books. It's like black ops or non-existent. Money is funneled in for these weird purposes. And there's this guy in charge of this project that is trying to track down these remnants because they had the arm, but then one of the people who worked there, the arm got in his head and he took it and he just went and left it at a dive bar. And so it ended up in this meth head's possession, and then all this weird stuff starts happening. And what gets messed up is when people die and they're near this thing, they come back and they're kind of like zombies and they start attacking everyone. Then it gets to the point where they're trying to like constrain everything. But back to the Saint Michael character. The Saint Michael character is kept at this weird dark government agency. He has visions and sees things, and so they've been using him to try to track down the remnant. And Saint Michael also has wings, but they cut his wings off, and they basically have kept him in captivity for years and years, trying to like glean information from him. So you have like this crazy apocalyptic zombie devil infused madness that's just happening, and it's a freaking fever house, and the book is appropriately be named Fever House. And then it comes back to this family. There's this family. There's this other guy, Nick Coffin, and he works for Peach Serrano. And at some point, effed up stuff happens to Tim and Hutch where they're not able to deliver this hand to Peach. So Hutch is like, he calls Nick and he's like, you gotta come get this from me. Please take this to Peach. So Nick gets the arm, and Nick starts hearing the whispering and stuff, and has the remnant. And there are also 3 remnants in total. And so there's 2 more. If these 3 remnants get together, the crap is gonna hit the fan. It's not gonna be good. It's already not good with this arm that's making all this messed up stuff happen. Can it be controlled? Can it? I don't think it can be controlled. Stuff's going kind of crazy. I really liked it. It's a big book. I think it was over 400 pages. I'm excited for the next one. I believe it comes out next year. I can't even imagine where the story is going to go from where it is right now. But yeah, you have like, it kind of flashes between chapters. You come in with the thugs, Tim and Hutch, and then you bounce over to this like the conversations between Saint Michael and this other like government dude talking back and forth, trying to get information, trying to find these remnants. And then you have like the people who work for this government agency that are kind of trying to get the arm back. So it bounces between those, and then they start to intertwine together into this just insane landscape of a story. It's messed up, it's scary, it's violent, some of the stuff's kind of gross, and it's really good. You know, that's what you say after like it's kind of gross. It's good. If you like horror. If you don't like horror, don't read it. But I really, really liked it, and it is messed up. So if you like those things, Fever House by Keith Rosson might just be for you. And if you're a fan of horror books, the next video coming up will be about another horror book, so stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.